Last weekend was Ludum Dare 50, and the theme for the game jam was Delay the Inevitable. Usually Ludum Dare themes aren't really the best, and although there were some much worse themes that were suggested, this one wasn't really the best in my opinion. Once the jam started, I was pretty puzzled at what to do. Initially I thought, okay, so what's something that's inevitable? I thought of a few ideas, like playing as someone who's trying to escape death. Not really creative. I also thought of playing as death and you're basically procrastinating at your job. I thought that'd be funny, but that's not really my vibe. I was pretty stumped for the first hour or so after the theme was revealed, so I decided to listen to some music to get some inspiration. As I was jamming out, the Elden Ring final boss music started playing, and from there, I got a brilliant idea. What if I made a game where you are the boss battle? I then got to work, creating a design for the boss you would be playing as. I went with a sort of a giant knight enemy design. Figured that would be pretty versatile. He originally had a helmet with several horns on it, but it looked a bit too much like marmots, so I replaced it with a hood. Now he looks a bit like a really tanky god sage. Since he has a hood, I kind of figured I could go for a bit of a magic knight kind of character. After creating animations like walking, jumping, and attacking, I got to work on the gameplay. For what kind of game I wanted, I hesitantly went with a platformer. I tried to make Zoromir's movement feel like you're playing as a really big tanky dude without it feeling like it's too clunky. They have two attacks, a melee attack and a ranged attack. You can also do a jump, and you can even deal damage to where you land. You can also have different variations of your attacks by using the arrow keys. If you hold down while doing a melee attack, you'll actually do like a lower attack. And if you hold up, you'll do an upward facing attack that launches the player back into the air. This also applies to the range attacks, where if you hold any of the directions, there will be a different pattern. If you press X and then hold down the opposite direction of where you're facing, you'll do sort of like a wall of bullets. Once I got the player nice and dandy, I started to work on the enemy. Now the enemy is supposed to be the hero, so I tried to have their movements and attacks be fairly quick and unavoidable. They also go through different states where they will be offensive, defensive, and once you get to level 8, they will also do longer ranged attacks. The AI is nowhere near perfect, but I try to have it mimic how a player would fight against this boss. For example, if you jump towards the player, they will actually go under your legs instead of walking away from you. Past level 5, they gain the dash ability, where they will try to dodge some of your attacks. I had to nerf this a bit since when I first added in, I could literally not hit them at all. Every time the player dies, they gain a level and have increased health and damage. They start off with really low health and damage to make it clear that the boss is pretty powerful. The leveling up is incremental, so the game doesn't really get difficult until maybe around level 7 or 8 or so. The highest that I could get was about level 14, 15, so I kind of decided that's where the end of the game should be. Since the theme was Delay the Inevitable, I wanted to sort of recreate the whole fighting against a really tough boss and eventually overcoming it, but from the boss's perspective kind of feeling. What's kind of funny is that the presentation is based around if you were actually playing as Paige, like how your health bar is the really big one and the enemy's one is the really tiny one in the corner. You also go through different phases as your health decreases, and you have a cool intro and defeat animation. Another thing I also wanted to do is to give these two characters a bit of character development, since they're constantly being thrown against each other. Zoromir starts off with the classic big evil guy monologue, and after the second time the hero dies, they start to banter with each other. From there they kind of just start talking about things and start to learn a bit about each other. I think there's a lot of times where you're fighting a big bad, but you don't really know why the big bad is fighting you. I tried to give Zora kind of like a generic reason to be fighting, like, I was all like, yeah, they're a minion of the frickin', the Empress. Yes, the Empress. She's all bad and stuff. You know, the usual. But as the dialogue between the two of them progresses, you learn about Zora and Paige as individuals, their perks and flaws. They also talk quite a bit about the universe they're in and the events that take place in it. You guys know me, I can't make a game without shoehorning in some Blightverse lore. I think it was really sweet that these two characters were able to bond in between beating each other up, and I wish there were more games that sort of explored that. I know that Hades did that, where you would talk to the bosses before you fight them, and you'd have different dialogue each time. Like, the amount of voice lines in that game is insane. It really felt like I was getting to know the characters through doing that, and I wanted to love and hate them accordingly. Making good characters can be tough, and I know I've definitely made some questionable decisions in regards to certain characters, and how they develop or interact with others. I don't like making characters that are just empty slates or are completely one-sided, so I try to give all of my characters their own thoughts, interests, and opinions just to keep them interesting. I was able to submit the game 30 minutes before the deadline was up, so thankfully I even managed to have a submission. I went with the name Reversary, which is a combination of the words reverse and adversary. Overall, I think the game is alright. In all honesty, I was a bit worried that it won't live up to Battery Acid, and I'm still a bit concerned for that. I mean, Battery Acid slapped. Although from what I can tell, it seems like people like it. Alpha Beta Gamer made a video yesterday which kind of surprised me. I was like, whoa, cool. I didn't have to email them this time. What's kind of funny is that I actually replied to that video with my personal account, and some people were in the comments that were like, what? Hey, you're not Upload Studio. You're an imposter. And then I was like, god damn it, not again. So yeah, that's Reversary. Just wanted to make a small devlog to sort of get my thoughts across. I'm not planning on expanding it any further since I already have a lot on my plate. If you're a Ludum Dare participant and you liked the game, or didn't, then I would super appreciate it if you left a rating on the submission page. I'll try to leave ratings on other people's games to sort of drive up that epic karma. I know that there's certain things that I tried out with Reversary that I might include with future titles like Project Malice, such as the flash thingy when your page takes damage. Also, since it's much easier to manage dialogue, I will probably have the whole dialogue with other bosses or NPCs per run to be included as well. Also, I'm going to be real with you, there's a pretty good chance that page will show up at some point. Sorry, I can't help myself. That's all I have for this, I guess, mini-devlog. Yeah, make sure you plunge your massive blade onto that like and subscribe button, or you're going to be the one who gets liked and subscribed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again later.